Humanity had always been a contradiction to the galaxy. Too violent to be trusted, too brilliant to be ignored. Their world, a death world, bred minds that survived chaos through cooperation and defiance. Among those minds was Lyra Holt, Earth's first ambassador to the Galactic Council, a woman who believed that words could reshape the stars. While generals built fleets and scientists forged miracles, she built bridges. Her voice became Earth's weapon, calm, relentless, impossible to silence. When the Council debated Earth's entry, most species voted against it. They feared human unpredictability, their history of war, their instinct to turn adversity into evolution. But Lyra stood before them, unarmed and unwavering. "We've already survived extinction," she said once, "so believe me, peace is easier for us than it is for you." Her words resonated, and against every prediction, humanity earned its seat. She never forgot the cost of that victory. To join the stars, Earth had to promise restraint. No militarization beyond local defense, no interference in galactic disputes, and absolute submission to council law. The Empire of Vorkon had signed those laws centuries ago and broke them as easily as breathing. Their fleets ruled half the spiral arm, their emperor a tyrant hidden behind diplomacy and grandeur. They enslaved worlds while the council averted its gaze. But Lyra believed diplomacy could tame even empires. She volunteered to meet them. The council chamber buzzed with unease when she announced it. Some warned her. Others smiled condescendingly. To the galaxy, humans were still primitives wrapped in clever words. The Vorkon delegation accepted the proposal, seeing an opportunity to remind humanity of its proper place. They requested the meeting be held on Vorkon Prime, the Empire's core world, a symbol of dominance. Lyra accepted without hesitation. Her children watched from Earth as she departed. Kay, the eldest, tall and thoughtful, tried to hide his worry behind logic. Mira, the middle child, wept quietly but promised to stay strong. Aaron, the youngest, barely 16, saluted her like a soldier. Lyra smiled at them all. "Never forget," she said, "peace is not weakness. It's the proof that you have the strength to choose differently." They didn't know it would be her last message in person. When her ship entered orbit around Vorkon Prime, the transmission delay carried her voice across half the galaxy. Billions watched as she disembarked in the capital's grand assembly. The alien world gleamed with metallic architecture and oppressive majesty. The Vorkon delegates, towering reptilian figures with silver scales, greeted her with ceremonial bows that hid venom beneath civility. The Emperor's face appeared on colossal screens above the chamber. His eyes cold and calculating, Lyra began her speech. She spoke of unity, of cooperation, of a shared destiny where trade replaced war and understanding replaced subjugation. The words carried weight, not through authority, but through conviction. Even some of the Vorkon crowd seemed moved. But when she proposed that the Empire cease planetary conscription and slave exports, the hall erupted. The Emperor's envoy interrupted her, accusing her of human arrogance, of meddling in matters beyond Earth's worth. The tone shifted. Guards entered the chamber heavily armed, armor gleaming beneath the artificial light. Lyra didn't flinch. She raised her hand for silence. "If you believe might makes right," she said, "then you misunderstand humanity. We survived by standing together, not by kneeling." That line sealed her fate. The envoy stepped forward, spat a word that needed no translation, and struck her. The first blow wasn't fatal. The second knocked her to the floor. Cameras recorded everything the human diplomat beaten under the banners of peace. The Galactic Council's observers, present via holographic link, froze in collective silence. No one intervened. The Empire's guards dragged her to the center of the hall, mocking her words, forcing her to kneel as they delivered their verdict. "This is what happens," the envoy said, "when lesser species forget who rules the stars." But Lyra, bloody and broken, still spoke. "Then remember this moment," she said, her voice faint but steady. Because my children will. The broadcast didn't cut immediately. Billions saw her final defiance. Billions more watched as the Empire's crest replaced her image. Then the feat ended. Across the galaxy, silence stretched into disbelief. On Earth, riots erupted within hours. The Council issued statements of investigation and diplomatic concern, but no action followed. The Empire denied wrongdoing, claiming she had attacked first. The truth didn't matter. The galaxy had seen the footage, yet did nothing. That was the wound that broke humanity's faith in diplomacy. Earth entered a decade of isolation. Trade froze. Communication halted. The human ambassador's seat in the council remained empty, a silent accusation. The world mourned, but three hearts mourned differently. Cade locked himself away in the Strategic Analysis Division, a department that officially didn't exist. He studied everything: Vorkon supply routes, fleet formations, weaknesses in their communication lattice. His anger turned cold, methodical, precise. Mira vanished from public view. Her name appeared in underground data forums, connected to leaks, information trades, and black market networks that spanned the Council's communication systems. Aaron enlisted in the Earth Defense Forces under a false name. His superiors reported unmatched endurance, unyielding loyalty, and a disturbing calm in combat simulations, but none of that was visible to the galaxy. From the outside, humanity appeared subdued. A small species retreating from the stars after learning its place. The Empire's propaganda spread unchecked, calling Lyra's death the necessary correction of an arrogant world. Other races, even sympathetic ones, warned their youth not to provoke the Deathworlders. Humanity had become a whispered cautionary tale. Inside the hidden chambers of Earth's Defense Command, a different story was unfolding. Lyra's final transmission, heavily encrypted and partially corrupted, had contained one unbroken line of code at the end. 3 words: keep the promise. Her children received it privately, each interpreting it in their own way. For Cade, it meant strategy. For Mira, truth. For Aaron, retribution. Together, they built something the Empire would never understand. Patience. Years passed. The galaxy moved on. Vorkon fleets conquered more worlds. The Council, ever political, chose silence over confrontation. The humans stopped attending sessions entirely. Their seat remained empty, draped in black cloth, untouched for years. And still, no one noticed the subtle shifts, the quiet buildup of human research stations near frontier systems, the new trade routes run by unregistered freighters, the shadow networks quietly feeding information back to Earth. Every action was deliberate, every move concealed beneath diplomacy's ashes. The children had learned their mother's lessons and twisted them into tools of war, but before vengeance, there was grief. Each of them carried it differently. Cade's came in sleepless nights and endless calculations, searching for a way to dismantle an empire without starting a galactic war. Myra's came in whispers. She infiltrated Vorkon networks, releasing truth so devastating that entire sectors revolted out of shame. Aaron's grief burned brightest. He trained his body and mind to endure conditions no alien could survive: vacuum drills, radiation burns, cryogenic endurance. When asked why, he always gave the same answer: because one day, I'll need to go where no one else can. And still, none of them spoke openly of their mother. Her image remained frozen in time: the diplomat who died standing, the woman who believed words could end wars. Her memorial on Earth became a silent pilgrimage site. People left flowers, hololites, and handwritten notes. The plaque beneath her statue read, "Lyra Holt, who spoke for humanity when humanity was silent." The galaxy believed time would bury the memory of a human diplomat beaten beneath the Empire's banners. But time doesn't heal Deathworlders, it sharpens them. While the stars turned and politics shifted, Earth's silence grew heavier, not weaker. To most observers, humanity looked docile, humiliated, compliant. But beneath that facade, Three siblings built the foundation of something the Empire could neither see nor understand. Kate Holt learned early that revenge built on emotion burns too quickly. His mother had taught him patience, analysis, and the power of words. He still believed in strategy, just not the kind that required permission. Within the classified divisions of Earth's Defense Directorate, he became an analyst, then a strategist, and eventually the architect of a project so secret it didn't exist on any record. He studied the Vorkon Empire the way a surgeon studies infection. Every fleet movement, every supply chain, every weakness hidden beneath arrogance. He discovered that the Empire's strength was not its military, but its dependence on obedience. Break that, and even the strongest war machine fractures from within. He began sowing fractures. Quietly and directly, human freighters started appearing along trade routes the Empire ignored. They carried nothing valuable, but they carried rumors. Each docking world whispered of new alliances, secret technologies, silent fleets forming beyond the spiral arm. Alien traders carried those whispers further, turning them into speculation, then into fear. Within a year, the Empire's border sectors doubled their patrols. Not because they faced threats, but because they believed they did. And that was exactly how Kate wanted it. Mara Holt worked in shadows of a different kind. Where Kate operated with mathematics and logistics, she worked with minds. She'd inherited her mother's voice, calm, persuasive, dangerous when underestimated. After disappearing from Earth's public eye, she resurfaced under a dozen aliases, embedding herself within the galactic communication lattice. The Council's information grid was vast, but outdated, riddled with corruption and access points left unsecured by complacent species who never expected a Deathworlder to outthink their systems. Mira didn't just hack networks, she built an empire of data. Through anonymous transmissions, she began leaking fragments of truth. Documents of Vorkon atrocities. Secret treaties that proved the Council's complicity. Evidence that the Empire's noble houses profited from slavery and blood. Each leak targeted a different world, chosen carefully to maximize chaos. Civil unrest spread slowly, like infection beneath the skin of a dying creature. No one suspected humans. The leaks were too perfect, the timing too deliberate. But Mira never revealed everything. She knew information was most powerful when incomplete, when it forced others to fill in the blanks. Aaron Holt trained where none could see him. His mind wasn't for politics or subterfuge. His gift was simpler, the will to endure. He joined the Ghost Division, Earth's Black Ops program rumored to train soldiers for environments no living being could survive. His instructors said he was relentless, incapable of stopping even when pain became meaningless. They didn't know he carried his mother's last words in his head like a mantra. If they strike me down, let them see what we become when diplomacy dies. Aaron's unit specialized in psychological warfare, infiltration, and planetary sabotage. Their existence was denied by every government, yet entire pirate fleets vanished after crossing their path. He rose through the ranks without ambition, taking command only because no one else could match his focus. When he slept, rarely he dreamed of his mother standing unbroken before her killers. Each mission hardened him further. His eyes carried the same quiet fire that once silenced council chambers. 10 years passed since Lyra Holt's death. The galaxy forgot. But her children did not. Their paths, though separate, converged slowly. What began as instinct evolved into orchestration. Kate's manipulations destabilized the Empire's economy. Myra's information warfare eroded trust within its ruling elite. Aaron's covert operations crippled its outer defenses. Together, they were dismantling the Empire piece by piece, though not a single human fleet had yet fired a shot. The galaxy still thought humanity was dormant. That illusion was the greatest weapon of all. Kate understood that humanity's true power had never been technology, it was unity born from desperation. He saw it in history. Earth's wars had always ended the same way. Humans adapted faster than they died. He turned that instinct into doctrine. Under his oversight, Human research divisions began integrating alien physics, converting theories into practical applications the original species considered impossible. The first Aegis engines were born, compact drives capable of jumping between stars without detectable signatures. A fleet could move unseen, unheard, until it was too late. The Council noticed nothing. To them, Earth's silence remained proof of weakness. To the Empire, it was proof of submission. They were wrong. While Kate built the unseen fleets, Mira built the narrative to justify them. She crafted digital ghosts, fake organizations, rebel networks, phantom factions that appeared to rise against the Empire in dozens of sectors. Every falsified broadcast, every intercepted communication was part of a single mosaic that pointed in one direction: chaos. The Varkon Emperor grew paranoid. His advisors accused one another of betrayal. His admirals demanded more fleets to crush imaginary threats. Entire armadas redeployed inward, leaving outer systems unguarded. In the shadows of those abandoned systems, Aaron's Ghost Division moved. They didn't invade, they liberated. Slaves once owned by the Empire vanished. Resource depots exploded without trace. Stations designed to monitor human activity along the galactic frontier were found empty, their crews dead by their own hands. The official reports cited system malfunctions and crew insanity. No one considered the possibility that they'd been visited by something human. Aaron led his men with the quiet authority of one who had nothing left to lose. He didn't raise his voice, didn't speak of vengeance, didn't promise glory. He only promised purpose. The soldiers under him followed with religious devotion. They painted a single symbol on their armor, a stylized feather. When asked its meaning, Aaron said, "It's a promise cat." None questioned further. As their influence spread, the siblings began communicating again. Not through official channels, not even through Earth systems. They used a private encryption key derived from their mother's last transmission, the same 3 words she'd embedded in her final message: "Keep the promise." Every code, every directive began with those words. It became the heartbeat of their campaign. Mira sent data to Kate's networks through layers of anonymity so dense that not even her own systems could trace her real location. Kate coordinated the timing of every leak, every false flag, ensuring maximum psychological impact. Aaron executed the physical consequences, the precision strikes that turned rumors into undeniable proof of power. The galaxy saw rebellion spreading, yet couldn't identify a single human hand behind it. When the Empire realized that the attacks on their outposts weren't random, panic began to spread among the upper echelons. Entire fleets went dark, no distress signals, no escape pods, nothing left but empty space where an Imperial armada once existed. Whispers spread that ghosts were hunting them, that something human had slipped through the cracks of their control and was now turning the galaxy's most powerful war machine into dust. At first, the Empire's high command laughed off the rumors. "Children," they said. "Her children. Impossible." But the evidence stacked up. Every strike was precise, personal, and deliberately symbolic. Each destroyed station corresponded to a location connected to the woman Diplomat's suffering. The mines where she was held, the cruiser that carried her broken body, the courts that denied her rights, all reduced to wreckage. The message was unmistakable. The first to connect the pattern was Admiral Vacker, the same officer who'd overseen her trial. When he realized who was responsible, he ordered a sector-wide lockdown. No one entered or left without his authorization. Yet, 2 nights later, his flagship exploded in orbit without so much as a sensor ping. Surveillance footage later revealed that a small freighter had docked moments before the detonation, an unmarked human vessel. The 3 siblings were no longer just a story. They were a living nightmare that the Empire had accidentally created. Kale, the eldest, was a strategist of terrifying intuition. He could look at an enemy formation once and predict every move they would make for the next 3 hours. Rhea, the middle child, was an engineer whose mind bent the laws of physics. She could weaponize asteroids, turn mining drones into war machines, and hack systems designed to be impenetrable. And Juno, the youngest, was a ghost in the networks, a cyber warrior capable of infiltrating entire fleets from a single signal pulse. They called themselves Echoes of Earth, not as a name for vengeance, but as a reminder. "We don't destroy for revenge," Kale said once during a transmission intercepted by the Empire. "We remind you what happens when you mistake humanity's kindness for weakness." Their war wasn't waged through open battle but through precision and principle. They didn't massacre civilians. They didn't destroy colonies. Every target was chosen for a reason. Every attack left a record of the crimes committed against their mother. And with each strike, the legend of humanity grew darker, heavier, more terrifying. The Galactic Council tried to intervene, desperate to contain the chaos before it spread into full rebellion. But when a neutral convoy carrying peace envoys was vaporized by an Imperial cruiser mistaking it for a human trap, the Council turned on the Empire. Suddenly, humanity's shadow war became the spark for galactic revolution. Dozens of suppressed species rose up, inspired by the story of one woman's suffering and her children's retribution. The Empire responded with brutality. Entire systems were burned to root out the humans. They called it the cleansing. But in doing so, they only fueled the fire. Every act of cruelty became another reason for rebellion. The humans never claimed leadership of the movement. They never demanded thrones or territory. They fought from the shadows, dismantling supply lines, freeing prisoners, and feeding intelligence to the insurgents. Rhea became known as the architect of vengeance. Her modified ships outclassed anything the Empire had ever built. They were small, fast, and made from scrap, yet they could punch through Imperial shielding like it was paper. Kale coordinated from deep space, turning rebel uprisings into orchestrated symphonies of destruction. And Juno rewrote history. She infiltrated the Empire's archives, deleting names, erasing victories, and corrupting entire chains of command. Commanders would wake up to find their own fleets refusing orders because their IDs no longer existed. The Empire's stability shattered. Command collapsed from within. Loyalists turned on one another in fear of human infiltration. Whole fleets defected, unwilling to fight an enemy that didn't even need ships to win. The humans' greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics, it was the psychological devastation they inflicted. Kale once sent a final message to the Empire's surviving admirals. "You beat a woman who came to you in peace. You broke her bones, her spirit, and her voice. Now you hear her answer through us. You built an empire on fear. We built something stronger on memory." The message ended, and within hours, the imperial capital found itself surrounded not by massive fleets, but by thousands of smaller vessels, all transmitting the same signal. Every broadcast frequency in the system carried a single sound, a heartbeat. Human. Steady. Then came silence. When the capital's defenses failed, it wasn't from bombardment but from surrender. The humans never fired a shot. The Imperial Guards simply laid down their arms, refusing to fight. They'd all seen what happened to those who tried. The siblings entered the city alone, walking through streets lined with soldiers who refused to raise their weapons. Inside the throne chamber, they found the last emperor waiting. He wasn't defiant. He was afraid. "You can't win," he whispered. "Even if you destroy me, there will always be another empire." Kale looked at him, calm and cold. "Then we'll remind the next one too." They didn't execute him. They broadcast his confession, the truth of what he had ordered, what he had allowed, what he had done to the Diplomat. Billions across the galaxy watched as the Emperor broke down in tears, admitting every atrocity. By the time he finished, his empire was gone. Rhea and Juno stood in silence as Kale turned off the feed. The war was over, but the galaxy was forever changed. No one would ever look at humanity the same way again. They weren't just Deathworlders now, they were symbols of consequence. The three siblings didn't return to Earth. They vanished into deep space, leaving behind no coordinates, no monuments. But their mother's story spread across the stars like a whispered prayer. Alien children learned her name before they learned the names of their own leaders. Statues of her rose in colonies once ruled by fear. They called her the mother of the free galaxy. Years later, deep in the outer systems, a distress call echoed across an abandoned relay. It was a simple transmission, 3 human voices, laughing softly, saying, "For her." The galaxy remembered. The Empire did not rise again, and in the silence that followed, the universe finally understood why you never strike the children of humanity. Because even when broken, even when hunted, even when the stars turn cold, humans don't forget, they endure. They rebuild, and when pushed too far, they return fire, not with rage but with purpose, the kind of purpose that reshapes galaxies, the kind of purpose that turns victims into legends, and legends into warnings whispered across every star. Never harm what a human loves. Because when you do, the galaxy burns.